Hello, everyone. I'm that one nerd, Jacob.
And I'm that one Scout Collins.
And before we get into this episode, disclaimer: if you are easily upset by talks of potential self harm and suicide, then this might not be the episode for you. Um, Fully understand if this isn't a episode that you watch. Uh, we'll be back to our regular schedule hopefully now, because me and Caleb wanted to kind of talk about our creative burnout we've been having between the two of us. Not like between the two of us, by the way. I just mean like we're both kind of creatively, we've been burnt out. It's not anything like podcast related specifically. It's just that we both been kind of feeling it lately.
Disclaimer over.
Yes, disclaimer very much over.
Suicide is badass!
Jesus Christ. 1 minute in. My God. Alright, so let's just get into it. So.
Yeah, where the fuck have you been, Jacob?
In like the beginning of September, my mental health took a pretty sharp decline. Had a lot of thoughts of just, ending everything because life's just been piling up on me lately. Like 100%. And the thoughts and feelings that I've been having don't all necessarily have a specific cause or trigger for them. But, I went a couple weeks in September, and eventually I was like, I need to just disconnect, I need to stop worrying about streaming. I need to stop worrying about anything.
Yeah.
And, like, it's kind of shit that I wound up ending on a stream where I was absolutely wasted the entire time. I'm gonna be honest, I really only did that stream because I had already promised it.
It was a good stream though.
It was, but going up to that point, I was just in my own head. I'm like, is this something I actually want to do? Or is it something that I think will grab viewers and maybe get a little bit of revenue for the channel? And as much as I still wanted to do it, afterwards I realized, like, I was no longer doing that specific stream because I knew I was going to enjoy it. Instead, I was like, oh, well, I'm going to look at it through the perspective of viewers. And that was not a good idea. I definitely should have thought it more through and just been like, hey, promises can't always be kept. And probably shouldn't have done it. There's no specific reason, but it's just, I don't know. I was already at such a point, up to that point there, where I was already deep enough down in the dumps. And then after that stream, is whenever I just really started having all the suicidal thoughts that I had had for about 2 weeks. That being said, I doubt I do another, like, drunk stream. At least maybe not to the extent that Drunk Mario Party is. Like,
to be fair,
yeah,
you didn't follow your own rules on the whole.
I did not, because I immediately forgot them as soon as you gifted a fucking sub.
Yeah, honestly, I love you, bud, but your drunken streams kind of go off the rails sometimes in good ways. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like every time you do a drunk stream, I hear when I talk to you the next day, like, "Hey, bud, how you doing?" You're like, "Bro, I'm not doing another drunk stream in a while." Jesus Christ.
And I mean,
like,
to be fair, I don't. The last time I did Drunk Mario Party up to that point was a year ago. Like, I'm not the type of guy that likes to go out and get drunk all the time. Like, we're having a Halloween party at our apartment in a couple of weeks, and I don't even plan on drinking, just because the drunk stream was enough drinking for me personally for a while. But again, I should have just realized that I didn't really want to do it, and I should have just told everyone, hey, I don't really want to do this, and I'm sorry if you're disappointed by it, but yeah. And again, I don't want to completely reject the idea of drinking on stream ever again, but I'm definitely not going to make it to where, you know, if people sub, I take drinks. If people send money, I take drinks. Like, I'm going to do it on my own terms next time.
What I would do, like this is just me, is that when I find that the guys who do these types of drunk streams and then like don't regret their lives the next day is whatever is the times they take drinks is based on something in the game.
Yeah, and see, that's what I should have left it as, because we had the rules set aside of, okay, these things in the game make you drink, these things in the game make you take a shot, and I should have left it at that. You know, I should have been like, oh yeah, by the way, every time someone sends a sub, I'm also going to take a shot. I should not have done that.
And what happened is that punished you and only you, and that makes the game less fun because now you're super fucked up and everybody else isn't quite there yet, and then things start to go off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, and I understand it was entertaining, and
yeah, I spent over $100 on you that night.
And that's the other thing that I'm ashamed of is part of me really only set up those like sub things because I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make a quick buck. And I always talk about how I hate going into streaming with that aspect, and I still wound up doing it anyway. Mainly just because financially haven't been doing the best. That's one of the big issues that's led to me having bad mental health. Like, we're getting by. I'm not missing any bills or anything like that, but it's like I have no way to save money right now. Like, I am living paycheck to paycheck. And I know there's a lot of other people in the world that are doing that too. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and be like, oh, woe is me, send me money on Twitch because I'm lower middle class. But
yeah, you should go to w.gg and put in the code T1NJ for 10% off since he's middle class.
Damn. Me talking about a serious moment, Caleb. I'm a plug Dub. I'm a plug the W. You can get this. You can get this cool ass shaker on there.
Yeah, me. I hate shilling out because it makes you feel like a piece of shit, and I'm struggling. I'm getting by, and I'm not really struggling. Me, profit.
But yeah, like I do hate the fact that I turned that stream more into like a cash grab. Which is why I'm saying, like, if I do drinking streams, there's not going to be anything. There's not going to be anything that people watching can do to add on more drinks, because that just encourages people to spend money. And as much as I realize, like, if I do want to make a career out of content, people have to spend money on me. Like, I'm not going to be able to do it for free. I also don't want to do it by doing a stream that I only do once a year, having a bunch of people blow their fucking load on that, and then not giving them what they spent a bunch of money on for another year. Like, I want to be able to grow organically. And that sort of leads into the next thing. So I joined a Discord server. I'm not going to say which one it is on the podcast. Caleb, I'll tell you which one it is afterwards. And this server has like a bunch of streamers, like small streamers, relatively big streamers, all that nature. And there was an introductions channel. So I went ahead, I introduced myself, and I got a ton of DMs that night. And at first it seemed like people who were genuinely just like, oh, hey, how you doing? And I replied to a few of them, but then it very quickly became, hey, let me be your social media manager. Hey, you should pay me like $200 and I'll be your social media manager. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I always declined all of them. They're like, you're never going to grow. I'm like, I don't care. I do this more casually. Like, having it as a career would be great. But that's one thing that sort of went into my head and started making me think, damn, am I doing all this for absolutely nothing? Like, if I do wind up doing it for nothing, that's fine. You know, I don't expect to leave a great crater of an impact on the internet. Again, I mainly stream for fun, and
I do.
that is very obvious since I never really tell people. I'm like, hey, send a sub. Hey,
Mhm.
give someone else a sub. Send so many bits. You know, like I try to limit that as much as possible, which is why, like, if you look at my paid sound alerts, there's some people that will charge 2,000 bits, so $20 for like a 10-second sound alert. I'm like, no, that's bullshit. That's why the ones that I have, I think the most expensive one is 200 bits, $2.
Yep. And that's for the extra long Halo one.
Yes, exactly.
But because I'm subscribed, I get half off.
Yeah, so it's like I had all these people and I looked at their channels and they had like most of them on YouTube, tens of thousands of subscribers, Twitch, multiple thousand followers. So it really hurt for streamers that were, you know, large compared to what I am. I'm sitting at a little over 200 followers right now, which I think is great. That's more than I ever dreamed of having. But uh all these bigger creators were telling me, "Hey, you're never going to get anywhere. You clearly don't take this serious enough. Clearly you don't love what you do. Why do you do this?" And then that just sort of sent me into a spiral of second guessing myself, like, yeah, why do I do this? And I think that's another reason I wanted to take a break, is to see if I'd be happier, you know, no streaming, no podcast. And some aspects, I will admit, I was a lot happier. But other aspects, I'm like, man, you know, that's the one thing I enjoy about streaming, is because it's like I'm playing a game and a bunch of friends are watching.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I switched from YouTube content to live stream content.
Yeah.
Like, I am a huge fan and huge believer that being able to interact with your audience directly is better than interacting with them indirectly through like YouTube comments or other social media comments. Don't get me wrong, massive respect to people that are able to do that for a living and upload YouTube videos. I'm not trying to knock YouTube as a platform at all. It has its place, just like Twitch
It's a
has its
different
place.
it's a different art style, and it's a
Exactly.
different it's literally a different medium. Even though it's very similar, video making is, for one thing, I know that I haven't done it as much, and that's because I just simply haven't had time to do any editing. But I actually prefer making videos instead of live streaming, because it gives me the opportunity to present what I'm trying to say and what jokes I'm trying to make in my head, to the
Hmm.
point where you guys can also see what's going on inside my head when I'm making the joke.
Yeah, and I mean, I also tweeted this a couple days ago where I talked about how I also miss editing. Like, even
Hmm.
though I prefer live streaming on Twitch, Dan texted me one day. He's like, dude, I just watched one of your old Fall Guys videos and it had me rolling on the floor. And I just started thinking about it. I'm like, man, you know, like I miss that, being able, like you said, to visualize any jokes and gags. Like, you can't do that on streaming. Like, you can
Yeah.
try to describe what you're trying to make the joke of, but you cannot really visually represent any sort of gags. That's why, like, at the beginning of this year, whenever there were the Twitch highlights, I tried
Hmm.
to combine the two.
Yeah.
And as much as I
And
want to go ahead,
a lot of those worked really well too.
yeah, and like as much as I wanted to keep it going, it was a situation of I simply didn't have time.
And you got burned out again.
Yes, that was
They're
the
just
thing,
like,
is like
ah.
another big cause of the burnout. Like, that's one of the reasons I moved down to really only doing 2 streams a week, is, you know,
Mhm.
I'm engaged. I want to be able to
Yeah.
spend time with the woman that I am going to marry and eventually have a family with.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it made me feel guilty for a while whenever I moved from 3 to 4 streams a week to 2, because I'm like, "Oh, I'm being selfish." But then also I looked at it in the more important light of I'm not being selfish. I'm, spending time with a person who agreed to spend the rest of her life with me. If
Mm-hmm.
anything, it would be selfish to never spend time with her.
Exactly.
So, like,
You know, when you had this latest burnout episode, I was talking to my wife about it because she's just like, is he okay? I'm like, he's gonna be. And then I said this to her, and I'm just gonna say it to you since that still keeps it true, is that usually what happens is that you'll have this stride going where you're being very creative, you're being very successful, you're gaining followers and you're gaining subscribers, but at the same time you're also neglecting your personal life at the same time. And because you have all these ideas bouncing around in your head and you're trying to get them all done at the same time, eventually you just burn yourself out and you hate everything you're working on. And then you have to go away for like a month or two because I remember you would back when you had the YouTube channel, especially, is you would pump out like 4 weeks of solid videos, and you gain like 20 to 30 subscribers at a time,
mhm.
and then you do a burnout, and then you do a burnout video, and then like a month later you do a whole month's worth of stuff again, and then you do a burnout video. It's just sort of it's one of those things with you that now whenever you start taking on new projects, I'm gonna make it a point to go, Jake, are you sure this isn't too much? I'm just gonna be the guy to do that now.
Yeah, and
And
that's like the main reason I stopped doing Twitch clips. Like, I remember our friend Natty
yeah.
offered offered to do one of the videos, like one of the clips
Mm-hmm.
in the first Twitch highlights video. And I mean, I loved the fact that someone was able to edit my stuff for me, because it's like, oh yeah, I'll be able to put this onto another platform. Someone else will also be able to get credit for doing some amazing work. And then Natty was like, well, I really only was able to do the one because I'm, they had asked, hey, would you mind if I use this in a school portfolio? And I'm like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
of course, that's fine. And obviously, video editing is time and effort. So
Mm-hmm.
eventually, Natty was like, yeah, I can really only do the one unless it can be a paid gig. And I couldn't get mad at her at that, because
I'm I it's just it's what are you gonna do? It's like it takes time, you
mm-hmm.
know. People, it was like Maddie's in a very similar boat as the two of us. It's like everyone we all of our friends are broke, damn it.
Yeah. Um and then going back to Burnout, obviously end of the year I always try to do a big New Year's Eve stream.
Yep.
And one thing that caused the burnout is, like you were just mentioning, I had like 1,000 ideas bouncing around at the same time. Like, I
Hmm.
suggested, hey, let's get a group together, find a big open field, and we'll do a live action Dead by Daylight. And I thought way too hard into the logistics of it. And then I was
Yep.
eventually like, well, this isn't possible with literally no budget. And then I got depressed because I was like, damn, this is a really good idea that I feel like we would have a lot of fun with, but because I have no money, I can't do it. And then there's a couple of other projects I've been working on at the same time for the New Year's Eve stream. But I want to sort of point out last year's New Year's Eve stream as an example. I had promised 5 pre-recorded videos. There was
Yep.
only one.
Yep.
Only one was actually made because I overwhelmed myself with work
Hmm.
and with streaming. So even though I am simultaneously wanting to work on projects for the New Year's Eve stream this year, I'm not going to
Hmm.
promise it. Like,
You
and
did You did make a very smart move though when you did that, when you made those announcements, as you said 5 pre-recorded things, but you never told us what they were supposed to be.
mhm.
So it was just like one of those deals was like, shit, guess I can't miss it.
And I did also say, like, at the bottom of every time I would update the New Year's Eve stream schedule,
Cards,
I
card subject to change.
yes, exactly. I always put, things subject to change because, it was always subject to change, especially with a long
Mhm.
stream like that. And that's why I can really only do like one of those 12-hour streams every half a year too. Like obviously whenever I was still doing the nerd coin redemption goals for the month, it was one of the options on the wheel, but it was so unlikely to happen that I wasn't worried about it. I think it only landed on it twice in the
Mhm.
I want to say 7 months that I did the channel point challenge for the month. And, they were evenly spaced out enough to where I was like, okay, I don't hate this. But for a minute, which I'm glad I stopped myself because I know deep down I could never do it. For a minute, I was wanting to do one a month. One long 12-hour stream at the end of every month. No matter what. And whenever I was sort of putting out the mock schedule for, big events of the year, I was like, okay, I can plan these once a month, get a bunch of stuff done. And then I sat back, I'm like, wait, I'm already promising a video game tournament every month, which I haven't been able to do.
Mhm.
I'm already promising a try not to laugh every month, which eh. Like I've been able to do it, but then whenever I hit those mental bridges, those mental roadblocks,
Yeah.
I don't do them. And I'm really glad I was able to talk myself out of promising a 12-hour stream once a month because even though I know everyone would understand, yeah, he doesn't want to sit at a computer once a month for his entire day,
Mhm.
I still feel like promising that and then not following through.
Like,
Uh,
I don't know how you manage to do a 4 to 5 hour average stream every time you're on this computer because I can barely manage to do this shit for an hour or two, let alone 4 to 5 like you sometimes crank out. Maybe it's
yeah,
because maybe it's because you've got more audience engagement than I do right now. But man, I'm sitting there at 45 minutes and I'm just like, damn, feels like I've been here for hours. Ah, fuck.
yeah, no, like there's definitely plenty of streams too where legit no one's watching. Like I don't have a
Mhm.
single viewer, and I'll stream for an hour, and then I look at the viewer count, see that no one's watching. I'm like, well, shit, why would I waste my time doing this? So there have been a couple of streams where I just straight up stopped. I'm like, no one's watching. Especially on like the story driven games, whenever I do those, like Pokemon, whenever I was doing Zelda for a little bit. If it's a story driven game, I don't want to stream to nobody because the next time I do stream, if people watch, everyone's going to be lost. Uh, and that's
Well, if you
a
had an editor, then you could do previously on that Wonder Jacob, and
I
you could literally do like a minute and 30 highlight session at the beginning of a stream.
yeah, but like that's another reason I've slowed down to at most maybe 2 streams a week is
Mhm.
because I want to have one stream a week guaranteed to be, a game that I play by myself, and then one stream a week be guaranteed to be a game that I play with my friends. Because the one a week that I do by myself, that gives me a chance to play through games that I really want to play through,
Mhm.
um, and also get some engagement along with it. And then
Yeah.
the ones that I do with my friends, it just gives me an excuse to talk to my friends. Viewer streams, if no one's heard the story, someone pretty much doxed Summer. So
Yeah. Yep.
I personally do not plan on doing viewer streams anymore just because that
At least
is
not in that particular format, no.
yeah, but like it feels like too much of a liability.
I feel
Um
like try not to laugh streams with mods going off with mods sorting
yeah.
through everything like Dan is such a good moderator.
Oh, I
He
know
is
he is. He's amazing. Dan's the best.
he
Shout out Diabetic Dan.
he is a godsend. and I love him to death.
But like those are really the only like viewer interactive streams that I want to do now because, there's clearly set rules. You're in my Discord, and even if you want to come into troll, I have level roles now to where you have to be a certain level, meaning you have to be active before you can even send videos and stuff.
Yep.
So at that point, if you're coming into troll, it's a long con for yourself, and then it just winds up getting deleted and you get banned anyway.
Yep. And trolls don't get blocked. I don't know. I feel like your server is a pretty well balanced server for what you like to cultivate
Mm-hmm.
because I'm gonna be honest, I personally didn't feel that offended when a lot of the but we already made a disclaimer at the beginning when the guys came in and they do the Nazi and KKK paraphernalia because
Yes.
I'm just like God, these are 14-year-olds. Like there's
Yeah,
no
no,
way.
like they're
There's
clearly just
no
trying to be
way.
edgy. They're trying to be edgy.
So it didn't bother. It didn't bother me. I'm like, stupid kid, block. But then there are other people that I don't know. I guess did you ever see the first Indiana Jones?
Yes.
Remember when that one dude looked at the face of God and his face fucking melted?
Yes.
That was some of the guys' reaction. That was some of the people's reactions, and I was like, "Yep, that's yep."
And see,
But
myself, like, I'm in the same boat as you. I know that it's just some kid that's seeking for attention, but at the
mhm,
same time, I have to make sure it's a community that
yeah,
is available for everyone. And, sending
guys,
anti-Semitic paraphernalia, that's not welcoming to everybody. Like, especially
guys,
if I leave it up,
being
and I
a
never do.
being a Nazi is bad, guys.
Guys, being part of the KKK is a bad thing. You should
They're
stop.
they're people now. Come on.
But yeah, and then the TikTok clip thing that I wanted to
Yeah,
do. I haven't really done that fully yet, so I don't
I've
know how it's gonna go.
I think that it would go really, really well if you took, because are you able to do the Twitch clip stuff? And
Yeah, like I've
are you able to just
already.
easily convert that?
Yes, yeah, you can straight up download it. So like I didn't have to do anything crazy. The only thing I have to do though is I have to keep a notebook. Like I literally have timestamps written down of past streams. Let me see here.
Maybe you could get the moderators in on it and make like a little group chat called TikTok posts, and who knows, maybe get some peeps in on that. Because Twitch clips are sort of like an organic thing, and if a few people in the community like that particular moment, they're gonna clip it anyway, and they're gonna
Mhm.
be like, "Hey Jake, look what I got! It's right here! It's right here! It's right here!" And you could be like, "Cool, send it to me in this thing right here," and you could just post it on TikTok.
Well, see, the thing is too, like in the Discord server, I have the Twitch clips, and
Yeah.
what I don't think a lot of people realize is I have that there for everyone to post under. Like everyone's allowed to post under it, not just myself and mods. Literally
hmm
anybody and everyone has access to that
I've posted
channel.
on there.
Yeah, like I want that to be available for everybody, which is why I did it. Cuz let's be honest, as much as I like writing down Twitch clips, like this is one stream. I was able to get 8 moments that I thought were amazing. So the first one was, whenever I was like, "Oh, me and this guy got the same shirt," and then someone played the miss sound effect. That was the
That was
only
me.
that was the only clip that I wound up doing from that, just because I wanted to test it. And honestly, it got pretty decent engagement. Nowhere near as much as whenever I discovered a random little thing that no one even pays attention to on a camera, and that blew up for some fucking reason.
Listen,
Um,
sometimes the people you have to understand the demographic on TikTok.
Monkey
There's
brain.
yeah, very smooth brains, very smooth, very unshaped on the TikTok because most of these people are fucking 12-year-olds.
And then you got me, 22 years old, scrolls
Yeah.
TikTok at least an hour a day. That is
Just
not
don't
healthy.
just don't DM in a creepy way and you're fine.
Oh, I don't DM anybody except for friends on TikTok.
I
Honestly,
know.
any
I know.
social media. But like,
People the thing is I haven't had my TikTok like active for like a whole year. And I'll still be like, guys, and I'll still get texts from people be like, did you send that TikTok? Did you see that TikTok I sent you? On where? TikTok? No.
no.
No. And it's not even like it's just one of those deals where, I feel like the idea for what you have going on with the whole burnout thing and addressing it is definitely a healthier way to look at it. And limiting yourself is definitely another thing that's good for you because I'm gonna be honest, Jake. Sometimes creative minds don't know how to pace themselves, and they often that's why a lot of artists end up addicted to cocaine.
Yeah.
It's like I can't keep up with my own brain.
But at the same time, especially for being content creators, everyone realizes that if you do want to wind up blowing up, you have to overexert yourself. Which is a sad thing, but it's also the truth. I mean, any big content creators made videos of it. Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie. Like,
Hmm.
all of those people have talked about how they used to overdo everything because of the algorithms. Like, all of them talked about how they wanted to die, constantly having to upload 2 videos a day just to get any sort of, views. And, it feels like a vicious cycle, but you have to look at it from the perspective of companies. They can't show you their advertisement unless someone's uploading a lot of videos. So obviously, if you upload more videos and YouTube gets more ad space on you, they're going to promote your stuff more. And
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part, but it could be worse.
it definitely could
But
be. Excuse me, sorry.
and it's one of those deals where what's something like do you have like let's since we're talking about burnout, let's talk about some symptoms. What are some things that you think like you start to feel whenever you're like, I'm burnt out? Like what's one of the main things?
So one of the main things for me is struggling to even have the will to want to even get on my computer to open anything up. Like,
Mm,
and when I say burnout, a lot of it stems from, depression. Like,
hmm.
a lot of the symptoms of burnout almost exactly line up with depression. So, like, I lost interest in even getting on my computer. I lost interest in playing games. Like, I would lose interest in all this stuff. And, it sucks. And a lot of my problems with depression and burnout come from my own doing.
Mm,
I have nobody to blame for my issues except for myself. I need to know when things I do are wrong or right, or if I'm overexerting myself. And especially with what you said, whenever I get so deep into something, I just go for it. Like T1FL War Room, second
hmm.
podcast, which
Yep.
officially announcing it here is going to be defunct. Um I was editing uh the episode for this upcoming or for this week, and Adobe crashes right at the
Mm,
end and everything's lost.
ah.
And I was so pissed because I spent like an hour editing. And that's another thing. It's like T1FL War Room, oh, it's not like a TikTok clip where it takes me maybe 20 to 30 minutes at most to edit. No, this took me an hour and a half to get everything in
Mm,
that I was wanting. And it was after it crashed, I just sort of thought to myself, I'm like, this isn't worth it. I don't need to get into a big fuss about it. You know, maybe sometime in the future. It's a thing that I just have to learn. I have to know when too much is too much. And as much as I enjoyed doing T1FL War Room for that one episode, uh the time and effort I had to put into it wasn't a lot. Like, when I was editing those, someone would come in here just to see what I was doing. And you know how I am. Whenever anyone looks over my shoulder for anything, I get mad.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't necessarily get mad, but I got annoyed, even though she was doing stuff that she normally does, and I never have an issue with it.
Yeah.
And in that moment, another part of me realized, oh, while I'm doing this, I'm actively pushing her away. And I have to take into account, well, how's she feeling? Because she's coming in and doing stuff that she'll always do that I've never taken issue with, and now all of a sudden I'm getting upset over it. And I honestly
Mhm.
shouldn't have, because it wasn't anything that was super distracting either. Like, she would just come in, say hi, she'd be like, can I have a kiss? And I give her a kiss, and then the only part that irked me was just, I would be here trying to edit, and she'd be trying to watch, and for some reason I got mad about that. I don't know if it's an embarrassment thing, because anytime growing up, if I expressed interest in anything, it was immediately met with, well, this is stupid, or you're not good at doing this. So anytime I try to do anything creative, I don't want anybody around.
Mm.
Like, that was one struggle that I had whenever I was in high school doing tech classes, is everyone was there for the same thing. Everyone was there in that class because we all wanted to be creative. But
Mm-hmm.
whenever people would watch me edit or anything like that, I wouldn't want them to watch.
Yep.
And that hurt my group projects in tech as well. Because obviously, if it's a group project, everyone needs to have an input and everyone needs to know what's going on with it. And whenever I would be the one editing, I'd be like, well, I don't know. I don't want you guys to watch. I just sort of want to show you guys a finished product. Because, again, of that fear of growing up, whenever I would try to do anything, it was always met with negativity.
Mm-hmm.
And it also doesn't help that that negativity came from what I would have considered back then close friends, some family as well. I mean, even up until as recently as a couple years ago, whenever I would express my interest in doing something creative, family members would straight up tell me that I was stupid. And I eventually had to learn to let that aspect of what they thought go. It's like, yeah, they don't understand or they don't get it because, it's not something that they take an interest in. That would be
Yeah.
like me going up to one of my family members that has an interest that they're really into and calling it stupid just because I didn't understand it. I was never around it. And because of that, in my mind, it's dumb and pointless, but in their mind, it's exciting for them.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, if I
I.
see if I see someone trying to do something creative, I might jokingly poke at them. I've
Mhm.
jokingly poked at you for some of your editing stuff before.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't know what I'm doing half the time, and it shows.
But I also know, like, I can't be too harsh because, yes, there is such a thing as criticism. People have to learn how to take criticism.
To be fair, if you hadn't told me how to fix up my screen, I don't think I'd even have noticed. It's like, Caleb, half of your screen, half of your thing is gone. I'm like, but it looked normal when I was editing it, and it looked normal when I was recording it. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then
And
I figured it out.
and there definitely is a massive difference between constructive criticism and, like I was just saying, just sort of
You
being,
stupid fuck!
yeah, just being a dick to be a dick because you don't understand it.
You're stupid bitch.
So, fast forward to a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
uh, all the stuff that I've been talking about this entire episode just
Mm-hmm.
balls into that emotion.
Yep.
And I just, for a almost a solid week straight, get home, eat, pretty much immediately go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was afraid of telling Summer what was wrong because I didn't want her to feel bad. But eventually I just straight up told her, I'm like, I've been considering killing myself.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I hadn't made any plans, I didn't have anything specific, but in that moment, I personally felt like everything had built up enough around me to where instead of struggling through the financial troubles that I was talking about or the
Hmm.
creative mental blocks or people telling me that what I'm doing isn't enough and I'll never make it, it
Mm.
all boiled over and just made me think that dying would be the easiest way out of it instead of overcoming the obstacles, proving that people can go fuck themselves instead. And it it makes me feel like I'm sitting in a place of privilege talking about this stuff too, because there's people that have the same issues that I have over way more important things. You know, like the
Hmm.
financial troubles, I feel like anyone can understand. But then there's people that want to end their life for things that are way more important than, oh, someone told me that what I was doing creatively was bad. And part of me
Mm.
feels guilty about expressing it, but at the same time, I'm a personal believer of, you know, if you're depressed about anything and it's causing you that much trouble, it's valid and you need to talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
don't let it ball up because, oh, well, this person wants to kill themselves because they can't afford to put food on the table. And while yes, not being able to eat is definitely more important than, oh yeah, I'm not getting positive feedback like I had wanted, both of those things are valid because those two people might view the world completely differently.
A lizard to one person is a dragon to another person.
Yeah, like, so I don't want it to come off as, oh, I'm whining because I set myself up to do too much and then I come up short. Like, that pretty much summarizes everything, but at the same time, it's like, how are you going to tell someone, like, look them in the eye and say, hey, you shouldn't want to kill yourself because of that? Like, I remember the first time I told my dad that I think I was depressed, and he didn't really understand it. Now he gets it and he's apologized. He told me, he's like, look around you. What do you have to be depressed about? You live a good life. Why are you depressed? And it was hard to explain to him that sometimes you're just depressed and you have no reason why, or the reasons why don't feel like they're valid enough. Again,
Yeah.
eventually he understood and apologized. So I'm not this is not a dig at my dad whatsoever, but it
I
was a
think
situation of he just didn't realize it because it's never been anything he's had to deal with.
Roger's struggles in life have been drastically different than yours,
Mhm.
which means that he's succeeded as a father. But it's hard sometimes for parents to understand that when their creative children aren't creating the way they want to, it's heartbreaking and soul draining because it's like I have a piece of my soul, but every time I try to express that, it dies. It's one of those things that people don't really think about too much. And the reason why is because not everybody is creative. Not everybody. Some people find a lot of satisfaction in their lives by looking around and they did something to they did something like it could be a 9 to 5. It could be they
Mhm.
planted a garden. It could be lots of things. And it's like I put work into this and it works. And when you're creative, it's more of a gamble because the whole point of knowing whether or not what you put work into is valid or not is the feedback of other people.
Mhm.
And so sometimes it gets tough, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there other times too. Before I joined the army, I think you remember at one point I was trying to make it as a musician.
Yeah, I remember.
I was pretty good too, but you know, it was one of those deals where I was 19 and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just hopping from a different bar to a different coffee shop, doing open mics, trying to figure out. And I was hanging out with these older people, like 27-year-olds and 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds, and they're all doing the exact same thing.
Mhm.
And you know, you would just hop from bar to coffee shop to random corner on the street to right across from a club with an open guitar case, and you'd think, "Wow, I made $30, and I've been out here for 4 hours. I'm making it." And then but then you'd realize that nobody really knows who you are, and the songs you make are not as good as the other guys is, and then you're just like, damn, is any of this really worth the trouble?
Mhm.
I remember there was like a period in time where I hated like making music, and I hated singing. And then I remember, ironically, you want to hear a really funny story? I don't think I've told this story to anyone before because it just
Sure.
hasn't come up.
Yeah.
I was in basic fucking training,
Mhm.
and what would happen is that the drill sergeants would bully people by making them do quote unquote embarrassing things. Like that's one of the ways that they would get to you, is that if they couldn't get to your body, they would get to your head. They got to my body plenty of times because I was a fat son of a bitch, and doing push-ups was hard because I was heavy. One of my favorite lines was, "It's your body, you grew it. Do push-ups."
Oh
But
man.
one of the things they do was that they'd pick out random people in the line, and they would do "Sing the Star Spangled Banner." Just random ass people, and it would be right before you could get food in chow. They would stop you, and the entire line behind you wouldn't get to get their food unless you started singing the national anthem
Oh
right
my
there.
god.
So there was this one drill sergeant that whose vocal cords were so shredded that he said, like, anytime he raised his voice even a little bit, it would sound
Oh.
like this.
Oh.
So what he would do is he'd carry around a megaphone and he would just talk through the megaphone. And so you'd be here like, "Not good enough, Private. Do it again. You suck. I want to kill myself. Watching you is so depressing." So, so they were like, "The Star Spangled Banner," and I started singing, and the drill sergeant walked up, was like, and he was like, "Start over," and then he held up the megaphone to my fucking face. And then he turned to the privates. He's like, "You all suck." When I was done, I was just like, "Well, I guess I'm not as bad as I thought I was." Uh, they could tell I hated singing though, because I was just like, "Oh God, not here, not here."
Yeah.
So it'd be like, "Hey, you want food? You're gonna have to sing for it." And just different shit like that for like 4 fucking weeks until they got bored.
Damn. But yeah. That's
But
that's I mean that's one way to at least be for sure that you were good at singing.
it was the strangest reassurance I ever got. Is that.
That is a pretty strange form of reassurance for
But
sure.
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe you just need a hater to motivate you. Maybe you need that one guy who's just like, "You suck, that one nerd, Jacob, but I'm going to say everything within the Twitch terms of service to remind you constantly that you suck." And maybe that's all you need to propel yourself into
Maybe.
being the next ninja. I need a hater.
But yeah, anyway, all this, boohoo pity me
Hmm.
aside, um I just need to not focus on people telling me, "Oh, you got to have a manager to get ahead. You're not doing good enough content. You're not using social media like you should."
Hmm.
I have to look past this not thinking I'm not doing good enough in any creative process, because looking back at it, I mean, even old ass videos that I didn't put any effort to, like Dan was talking about with the Fall Guys videos, they were entertaining to him. And those
Hmm.
were very low effort videos.
Hmm.
So, well, yes, I do plan, like, if this if this does ever blow up into a career, obviously I'm going to put more effort. But for right now, excuse me, I need to just realize, like, I don't need to, you know, figuratively kill myself over
Hmm.
content, because then it's going to make me want to literally kill myself.
Yeah, and
And
Markiplier edited his videos for a very, very long time, but then, eventually he got one, two, three editors, and now he's able to pump out a lot of content pretty fast. But, it's one of those things he had to get into a groove for.
yeah, and I
I
know that, both of our styles of content will evolve over time,
oh yeah.
and I know both of our outreaches will eventually expand, but
Hmm.
I for sure need to stop acting like I have a massive outreach. I get an average of 5 viewers per stream. And I try to
Yeah.
treat myself like I get 1,000. And I know that people say, "Oh, you got to have the mindset for what you want." But having the mindset of, "Oh yeah, I've got 1,000 people here," when there's only 5 people, that's going to change a lot of shit.
Maybe we should change the mindset to there's 50 people here. Maybe
Start
that's the
small. Start
maybe that's
small.
the mindset. Is like, because honestly, I feel the reason why I kind of treat social media and I kind of treat our viewers like cats, where it's like I only give them enough attention for them to want more.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
I tell them to go away after every stream and then they come back.
I mean,
Think about
if
it.
anything, though, that's a bit. That's not you giving them enough attention. That's you creating a bit that people will eventually recognize. It's just like, oh yeah, the guy that tells everyone to basically go fuck themselves at the end of every stream. You know, that guy?
You have to, but think about it. He's like, the son of a bitch that we all love. That's what cat. That's what cat people are like. That's like, this son of a bitch sits on his lap, purrs. I don't know.
God.
I don't know. It is really weird that there's the two of us like that, and we're paired together because if you think it's like watching a chaotic, it's like a lawful good paladin and a chaotic neutral barbarian try and interact with the world sometimes.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's just I might have just made our first T-shirt is our alignments is chaotic good paladin and chaotic neutral fucking barbarian.
It's accurate, even though I'm a fucking grave cleric, Caleb.
Listen, I'm talking about real life. You can't do magic for shit right now. I can do better magic. Look at this. I'm taking off my finger. Yeah. Look at me go. This fucking hurts every time I do it. What? What?
But wait, Caleb. Just
Yeah.
wait. There's more. There's more.
There's more.
All right. See
Uh-huh.
my hand.
Uh-huh.
My hand.
Uh-huh. Your hand.
You ready for this? You ready for this?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. What? Burn him! Burn that man now!
I'm gonna be honest. This episode has been very therapeutic for me to actually voice what's been going on.
Just yes, I love it when we bitch on on a podcast. It's not even really bitching though. It's just like, man, I've been depressed lately. Yeah,
Need to
yeah,
talk about it? Yeah,
yeah.
actually.
Yeah. And I've already done my W plug, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I got that out of the way right after the shilling bit.
Pluggy
Look
the
at us
dubby.
go. Pluggy the dubby. I almost want to put googly eyes on one of my empty dubby containers and call him Pluggy the dubby.
And then you can shake them around to get your viewers' attentions, and then it'll look at the little googly eyes that are going crazy. You're just like, Pluggy the dubby! Pluggy the dubby!
I'm gonna kill him unless you buy my dubby!
Better buy it, fuck ass!
With this fucking hammer, I'll do it! if I don't get, I just bring out a puppy. If 5 of you don't buy a fucking carton of dubby, I killed the dog.
That reminds me, have you ever seen the video where a English teacher brings in a dog?
The vocab.
This is
the vocab.
This is Buck, the vocab mascot. And I've brought Buck here to tell you that if you don't do your bucking vocab, I kill the dog. The entire class screams. No! Oh man. I am so ready. I am so ready to get back to streaming this week though. Like
I'm glad.
I'm glad that I took that time away, but like I said earlier, it was definitely a situation of more I was considering leaving. And I just don't think I can. I missed it too much.
You're addicted to this shit and you know it, you dirty whore.
Listen, I was going to try to stream this weekend, but, you know, at work today, I just finished day 7 of 8 days in a row.
At least you're off Tuesday.
And Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then I only work Thursday, and then I'm off Friday through Monday since I'm going to Tulsa for SmackDown and then turning around and going to Oklahoma City for Raw.
Any chance you can save that spooky stream for the weekend? Is that a thing you can do?
How long are you going to be out? Because the weekend I'm going to be in Tulsa, and I'm not really wanting to stream at my dad's place because we already got so much shit going on.
That's okay then. I'll just watch the rerun. I'm gonna be out in the field for 7 days.
You know, what if I save that for like a special Halloween night stream, you know? I live in an apartment complex. Kids don't trick or treat here. They're afraid of crackheads. That reaction is so worth
I wasn't ready. Kid, I need about $3.50.
Kid, give me money. I'm trick-or-treating at your house. You're supposed to give me candy. I need nose candy, kid. I need nose candy.
That Jolly Rancher better be cracked or I'm killing your mom.
All right, well, we are at about 2.5 minutes until time. Do you have any nerd outs? I know I don't have a nerd out. The whole first half of this episode was my nerd out because this was mostly me.
Oh yeah, I downloaded Audacity. You know, the digital audio.
Yeah. I used to use Audacity before Natty gave me their Adobe login information.
Yeah, I'm thinking about starting to do just like random bits of music here and there.
Hell yeah, get back into it.
Yeah, not even because I was like, it was just one of those things where I'm not going to try and monetize this shit anytime soon. I'm just going to be like, hey guys, I figured out how to do this with my voice, and here's how I did it. And then everyone could be like, that sucks. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you.
I mean, that's kind of like what I did with the 2 random videos I have on YouTube where I'm playing stuff on a guitar and on a piano. It's like, hey, this is stuff that I learned to do. And I'm not expecting this to blow up, but I just want to, you know, have this video to be like, hey, look at what
you mean
I
like
learned.
You mean like the Megalovania cover?
Well, see, the covers were 2 separately different things. Like, there's one where it's called Some Guitar Stuff I Did, I think, and then Random Piano Playing. Hang on, I can look up the exact titles right now. But, like, oh my god. I have not watched YouTube in a while. My last watched video was something I watched, like, 2.5 weeks ago.
You've been unplugged. That's okay. sometimes you
That's
just gotta
fair.
unplug. You might want to tell Token that you've discontinued the war room
Yeah, I
because
know.
he was just like, hey, when's the war room? I'm missing the war room. I enjoyed the war room, and I didn't have the heart to tell him he's probably not gonna pick that back up. Token, I hate to tell you, son.
Yeah.
Token, sit down. There's something we need to tell you. We're getting a divorce.
Yeah, let's see. Where the
Again?
fuck is this video? Okay, so there's one that's called Some Guitar Stuff I Did. Which, you know, I just played a guitar. Where's the one where I do? Oh, bad piano playing. I somehow stretched that shit out to 10 minutes. And then immediately after bad piano playing, there's Lavender Town, which is actually good piano playing. And then the most important video you'll ever watch, 1, and then Megalovania.
The fact that you were on 0 drugs during that creative stuff.
The fact that I'm still on 0 drugs. Oh
By the way, where's my 4th, the most important video you'll ever watch for?
Alright, I was trying to save this as a surprise.
Oh.
During the New Year's Eve stream. This is one video that I will guarantee because I'm going to make it no longer than 5 minutes. The most important video you'll ever watch is coming back.
Yes!
But just as there is a twist in the 3rd one where I rickroll everyone instead of letting them watch me eat the sandwich, there is a twist planned for this one as well. So you can be happy knowing that the most important video you'll ever watch for is being made, but you don't know what's going to be in it. I'm going to shove the sandwich up my ass. I'm going to shove.
End the podcast here. End it right there. That's the cutoff.
Okay.